Price and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to one Hulu limited commercial plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
Hi, Eric Ashwood, celebrity chef Scott Craig of Katie's. Scott, you have to be excited about Katie's expanded second floor seating and private dining rooms.
Yeah, but how about my vast local sports knowledge?
You know sports, but shouldn't we be talking about your award-winning Sunday brunch?
I'd rather talk about the Saints and the Pels.
How about your award-winning pizza or daily specials?
How about them Saints?
I admit you have a great take on local sports, but what about Katie's award-winning menu?
Okay, folks, I invite you to dine at Katie's. Eric and I don't have to brag about the food at Katie's. The food speaks for itself.
Katie's open 7 days a week in the heart of Mid-City at 3701 Opperfield.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Aging gracefully isn't easy. Low T, thyroid issues, and weight gain all conspire against you. Enter Vitality Wellness Group. Vitality Wellness doctors are experts in hormone therapy, ED, and a host of aging issues. Call 504-309-4172 or visit NOLA.com.
As you all know, our Relay for Life event is right around the corner. We're taking on our biggest rival, cancer. It will be a tough fight, but we have the home team advantage. Let's help the American Cancer Society help those with cancer. Join us at relayforlife.org and help attack cancer in our community.
Dunc and Holder on a Country Fried Friday, March 23rd. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan. Todd Verdun wasn't here. Now he's walking back in the room. He's got the water. Now he's ready to rock. Dave DeCorbier. We're all at iHeart Central. We got a great show today.
Let's go.
So much going on. And let's go. Exactly what Clyde just said. Like around 10:30, we will talk with horse trainer Tom Amos. Of course, he is the trainer for Lone Sailor, who will be galloping, riding, maybe putting money in Jeff Duncan's pocket during the Louisiana Derby. Yes, no, maybe so, maybe.
Well, considering that Lone Sailor's a 20-1 shot on the morning line, and it'll probably be much longer when they break from the gate, that would be a lot of money if he wins.
You might put like $3 on it.
I don't know. I haven't determined yet. I haven't looked at the race up and down the way I want to, but it'll be interesting to hear what Tom Amos has to say about his chances, because he is a long shot. And discount Tom Amos at your own peril. 2 years ago, he had a 74-1 shot win the Rachel Alexander Stakes Grade 2 race. 74-1. So it can happen.
You could put $2 and win some decent money on 74-1.
You put $20 on there, you'd win what?
Be rolling.
I need an abacus or Clyde or somebody that has better math skills.
Clyde. You don't need an abacus. You just need Clyde.
Yeah.
He would absolutely do it. But yeah, so we'll talk with Tom Amos around 10:30. And yeah, before you leave, because Jeff's got to leave the show early because the funeral for Tom Benson starts at noon at St. Louis Cathedral, of course, Jackson Square. So Jeff will be going to that. And
great weather today for it.
Absolutely. Beautiful day. Wonderful day.
Unbelievable week. It doesn't get any better than this. And so it's nice to have that setting. It's going to be an incredible visual of all these dignitaries, NFL, sports field people, political leaders, all in St. Louis Cathedral for the Mass today. And then there's a second line parade afterwards down to the Ursuline Convent.
I know that's what you're looking forward to.
I just think it's a quintessential New Orleans kind of scene.
Test your ACLs out, my friend. If you got to move, dance, wiggle, you could do it.
Well, I know I can.
Give it a shot.
But I thought about wearing my comfortable shoes today, and I ended up going with my dress shoes.
I was about to say you should have put on suit, everything, and some tennis shoes just to make sure.
Yeah, man, that's the new style.
You got to do the Benson Boogie
new style,
on the second
man.
line. Come on.
No, I cannot.
Come on.
I'm not Herbie Teope break dancer.
Now he is a break dancer. He's loving life right about now.
Yes,
Mr.
Kansas State. So am I. Kansas State Wildcats upset the bad Kentucky Wildcats last night.
So savage.
What a crazy bracket. We've got Kansas State and Loyola Chicago playing for a Final Four berth.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what makes the tournament so great.
Well, you need some blue bloods to win. So your peeps who you're rooting for, Duke, you got to have them in there, like Kansas. One of those two has got to get in. At least you have some blue bloods in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, you could make room for Cinderella. You can make room for them. But Clyde does not want to make room for anyone because his team lost in the very first round. Virginia.
I'm not, but at the same time, though, I'm not as mad about that as I normally would be. Because I mean, obviously, if I were playing, I mean, I'm in a bracket a bracket competition with friends, so it's one of those things. But this is what I get. Like every year that I don't pick Duke because I don't like Duke as a team.
Why?
Or because I don't feel that Duke this year has a team as opposed to a team a few years ago that won the national championship the same way. And specifically, it's Grayson Allen. I don't care for Grayson Allen.
I knew that's where I was coming.
I don't care for Grayson Allen.
I knew that's where we were going with
you're not
this.
even Christian Laettner, but I do not care for Grayson Allen. Like he can say whatever he wants. He is the complete paramount example of a dirty player, a player who knows full well how to try to get away with murder in games.
Well, he's not literally murdering anyone.
He's not literally murdering.
He's just giving people shots.
Yeah, he's giving people forearm shivers.
Shots in the jewels.
Shots in the jewels. Hey, let me stick my butt out so you can trip.
Let me stick my butt out.
Let me stick my butt out here. Let me stick my leg out here so I can trip you here. But I never pick Duke on the years that they eventually go on to win national. Because I'm a Duke fan. First and foremost,
you sound like you're not what? Wait! How are you a Duke fan when you're just ripping Duke?
Because as a Duke fan, I can say that because I've watched this team enough of my life to understand how they work and how they operate, and the teams that eventually go on to do well. From way back in, we're talking, Shane Battier, Grant Hill, all the way up to.
Shane Battier and Grant Hill were like a decade apart.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm giving you decades to go with. So you can follow me here, to Jay Williams, to guys like that. I mean those are my guys. But every year that I don't pick Duke, Duke
is like the Yankees.
Duke wins the championship.
They're like the Yankees.
So it's annoying.
Duke is like the Patriots.
No, they're not.
Duke is like Alabama football.
Duke has had some waxing and waning years.
They're so
man.
lame.
They've had some waxing and waning years because clearly, as we've talked about on the show, they're dealing with the same thing that everybody else in the country is dealing with. Calipari getting one and dones and somehow being able to win conference titles and win tournament titles and make runs to the Final Four and choking in the end. But
except they win titles, unlike Kentucky. They win them.
Exactly. Like they can seal the deal.
Last I checked, Kentucky's won a few.
They've won a few, but they haven't won a few lately.
Anthony Davis, who's now won 4 in a row for the Pelicans, 3 in a row in 3 days. That's unbelievable.
Nice segue. Yeah, no, that's impressive.
That was totally
But last night,
segue.
You're a liar. I didn't believe you. That's not true.
That was not a segue I was trying to spin it into, but yes.
I had to watch the highlights this morning because Larry and I were embroiled in some other
Larry, let's talk about that.
activities.
Let's talk about that, Larry.
But it was impressive because I didn't realize that the Pelicans were down so much and rallied in the last few minutes. And we talked about this last night, actually. This team has suddenly become a closer. They win these tight games. They've won a bunch of tight games in a row. And since Cousins has gone down, they've become, I don't know what the point is. Maybe it's having Rondo on the court at the end of the games, but they out-execute their opponents. It's becoming standard form.
All I know is if Rajon Rondo is shooting 18 shots, you're figuring they might lose by 50. But he made 11 of them, 24 points, plus 13 and a plus-minus. I don't know how much Jeff loves that stat, but still.
He was 5 for 9 in the fourth quarter.
You needed him big, absolutely.
He scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, and defensively, the Pelicans held the Lakers to 17 points. They shot 30. The Lakers shot 30% in the fourth quarter alone, 27% from 3. They were 3 of 11. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Jeff. Like this Pelicans team has turned into an absolute closer, locked down when it matters most, and that, especially giving up 35 points in the third quarter getting outscored 35-26. That's not going to help you win against a very bad Lakers
That's
team.
typical Pell's third quarter for the most part. But what I understand, I didn't see the game, so I have to say I didn't see it.
I'm with Jeff because literally I was with Jeff last night.
But Lonzo Ball apparently was just taking some atrocious shots.
Oh,
I'm stunned.
That's what I heard.
Me stunned.
Water was wet.
Right, exactly.
The word was that he was single-handedly almost undermining the Lakers' chances of winning, but I'd like to see it myself because I've actually been a Lonzo Ball fan. I was a big fan of his at UCLA, but I haven't really followed him much and I'm not a fan at all of his overbearing father.
Let's not even talk about that loser.
Right. But
it's not even worth mentioning.
I like Lonzo Ball's passing ability. I love it. He reminded me a lot of like a taller
He did
Jason
have 9
Kidd.
assists last night.
Yeah, he can dish, but
And
not
he
a
had
great
13
shooter.
rebounds.
Not a great shooter, but that'll come, I think. Shooting comes. He's got a weird form.
What do you mean he's not a great shooter? He made 2 shots out of 15.
Yeah, that's
2
a
of
great,
15.
That's a great ratio, Larry.
Chip's eyes just got huge. He's like, what? 2 of 15? Yes. He played 44 minutes and went 2 of 15. He went 1 of 12 from 3. 1 of 12 from 3.
You know what my old
He's
basketball...
shooting from Lithuania where his brothers are and his dad are hanging out.
My old coach used to say, it would fall in line on this. My old
Volume shooter?
Well, he'd say to you as he took you out of the game and when you were shooting bad like that, he'd say, maybe when you were 2 for 13, you should have realized that you weren't on.
Exactly.
He's still shooting at 2 for 13 and he's missing.
Unbelievable.
Look at that,
because
man.
the rest of the starters, 9 of 16, 5 of 11, 9 of 12, 9 of 15, and Ball is 2 of 15. What a loser! Loser.
Oh,
But that again, am I wrong? That they just kept pace, right?
Yeah.
Rest of the West kept winning all around them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
every night.
I mean, but it's unbelievable the fact that the Pelicans have won 4 in a row, 4 games in 5 nights. They won them all, and they won 3 in 3. That's amazing to me. As soon as the leak, what we called the drop
leak, drip gate.
Drip gate. As soon as that happened, we saw the schedule. We just assumed, wow, all right, if they get through this thing with a winning record or a couple wins, but the fact that they're rolling, look, they're 43 and 30, 4th spot in the West, and of course it's super tight. They're at least a game and a half above the 7th spot, which is a good spot. Timberwolves are at the 7th spot. Utah is also tied with the Timberwolves. They're in the 8th spot. But still, the fact that they're out of 7 and 8 for now through this stretch is remarkable, to be honest. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a unique week playing these number of games that they did.
5 games in 6 nights.
Yeah, their bench came through, though. They seem to have a different person every night. And I think we have to give Dell Demps and Alvin Gentry credit.
You have to. Everyone who always bags on him, Jeff, how many times have we heard people bag on him?
No.
You have to give them credit.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, Dell Demps has put together at least on the fly. He brought in, Nico Mirotic hasn't played very well at all.
He shot 1 of 7. He's been struggling mightily. He shot 1 of 7 again.
Just look at his numbers in Chicago this year compared to what they are here. I mean, they're not even close. And he was so much better of an outside shooter. He's really struggled to find his form, and yet he's doing a lot of other things to help the team win, and they're getting contributions. One night it's Etuan Moore. Last night's Rajon Rondo. Another night it might be Ian Clark. It just seems like somebody else rises up every night. And but now the going gets tough, man. We talked about that stretch they got coming up. 4 games. I think if they can go 2-2, they should be happy in these next 4. Even 1-3 might be good.
Well, we keep saying that, and it's almost like we temper our expectations, and they've risen above them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could say 2-2, go above, go even, Steven, 500, and yet they've proved in us that they're capable of doing more than that, which you got to give everybody credit. Absolutely. Dell Demps, Alvin Gentry, you got to give everybody credit. But because, Claude, you agree, we've heard so many detractors of them, and unfortunately, Jeff, I'm gonna have to point the finger at you because you said it was gonna be over when.
Well, I think if you read the column, I said they could still make the playoffs and easily could make the playoffs.
You said it was over.
I think if you read the column,
you said it was over.
Dead and dusted.
Just say I'm just gonna start whispering it because we'll try to forget it.
I think I wrote they would still make the playoffs. The headline. No one got past the headline.
This is going to be a great hour for Jeff.
Yeah.
Look, I've certainly been wrong. Hence, I'm still 2.5 months from growing my hair back. So I can at least be like, didn't say
I
the
thought
right
they
thing.
would get like the 8th seed, sneak in. They've done
I
a lot
agree.
better. That's where I've been wrong.
I agree.
But I
Well-
thought they could get the 8th seed.
Well,
still.
you look at everything in the Western Conference, it's so tight. It's going to be bad for, say, the Clippers or the Nuggets or the Jazz. If these two teams, some of these teams are not going to get in, deserve to get in. Like they
have
absolutely
winning records, and not get in. Like,
I know.
Decidedly decent for, Eastern Conference teams and the teams that are below them that are already eliminated. They'd love to say they win like 45, 46 games in a season because it's been so bad for them. Phoenix, I'm sure. Phoenix, Memphis. By the way, did y'all see that score last night between Charlotte and Memphis?
I did not. I was just cursing my fantasy baseball team all night, as Jeff heard, all night.
I'm looking at it right
all
now.
night.
It was really, really bad. And Kemba Walker scored 46 points, I believe, and Charlotte beat the Grizzlies 140-79.
What? Whoa. Are you sure that's not...
he had 10 three-pointers in that game.
You sure that's not Denver versus the Hornets in the final playoff game where they lost by 60?
It was one
That
of
was a good game.
It was one of the biggest point spreads in NBA history.
That's unbelievable. Wow.
What was the score?
140-79. Charlotte over Memphis.
You think someone quit?
Yeah.
Maybe?
It's not even like Golden State. It's Charlotte.
Yeah, it's Charlotte. Kemba Walker had 10 three-pointers.
Hey, he won a national championship once, which
that's true.
We can't say that about Virginia or Cincinnati or, Clyde. Sorry.
Or Louisville at this point.
Oh, yeah. Louisville's never won a title. Multiple titles.
Actually, I remember they had
multiple titles.
They had one, and the banner got
vacated last
right?
time I checked.
The banner got lifted away, taken away, gone. It never
I don't know
happened.
what you're talking about.
Never happened. Just like Reggie Bush
NCAA farce.
Reggie Bush never won the Heisman.
The NCAA farce.
Bush never won the Heisman.
OJ won a Heisman, and he possibly murdered people, but, hey, no big deal. Tomato, potato. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. We're off the rails. No big deal. It's a Friday.
Country shenanigans.
Friday. No, but we got a great show. We got Tom Amos coming up in about 10 minutes. Top 11 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with our good friend Catherine Terrell of ESPN. I'm not sure why we're having her on, but we're going to have her on. Maybe we'll talk about the Bengals. Maybe we'll talk about LSU baseball. She loves it. Maybe she'll go toe-to-toe with Clyde on obscure LSU baseball facts.
Why not?
And then we will have at 11:30 Albert Breer from MMQB, one of the best in the business, been on our show before. We'll talk with him as well. And we got some open segments, so if you want to get involved in the show, 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Next segment, I want to talk with Jeff. He had an awesome column today. You want to read something about Tom Benson and his inner circle? Jeff has it all done. Remarkable. We'll talk with Jeff. Give his insight on the inner circle of the Bensons after Tom Benson's passing. So we'll talk with him about that. So coming back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeart Radio app, Dunc and Holder.
We were coming alive. Yeah, caught up in a southern summer, barefoot blue jean night. Whoa, never gonna grow up. Never gonna slow down.
Josh Innes, morning 6 to 10.
Sources tell me that it almost reaches all the way to Mobile.
We're almost in Mobile.
Almost.
Hello, Mobile.
Almost Mobile.
Hello, almost Mobile. So we got that going for us.
Josh Innes, mornings 6 to 10 on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So, we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
Offer ends 4/16/18. First lines $100 a month. Lines 2 to 4 free. Requires 1 line to port in. Includes unlimited talk, text, and data with video streams at up to 480p. Music at up to 500 kilobits per second. Gaming up to 2 megabits per second. Data deprioritization during congestion. Brief runs require port-in, purchase of eligible device, and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to one Hulu limited commercials plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text RULE to 321-321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenics samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text RULE to 321-321. That's RULE to 321-321.
This week on Big Easy Deals, get a family 4-pack to the Audubon Butterfly Garden and Insectarium for just $34. Watch as the beautiful butterflies swoop and soar all around you. Go to foxsportsam1280.com, keyword deals for your half-off certificate today.
Google's digital assistant can now send your friends some cash, able to manage peer-to-peer money transfers using Google Pay on Android and iOS. Users will be able to tell the assistant via voice or text to do things like, "Hey Google, send Tom $20 for lunch today." Free service will reach Google's smart speaker in the coming months. A report says Twitter violates women's human rights. Amnesty International says 23% of women surveyed in 8 countries last year said they'd faced online abuse or harassment at least once. Over half of that percentage said the attacker was a stranger. The findings say overall, the abuse many women experience on the platform leads women to self-censor what they post, limits their interactions, and even drives women off Twitter completely. YouTube is headed from the real small screen to the big screen. The YouTube-made movie called Vulture Club, starring Susan Sarandon, is set for a theatrical release sometime this year, which would make it eligible for Oscar consideration next year. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Hey, I heard the Pelicans are doing pretty well. And I've heard they've got a huge matchup March 27th against Portland here in the Smoothie King Center. Guess what? We've got tickets. Of course we've got tickets. So, keyword time. Jeff, this is your time to shine. Give a keyword, and we will ask for it in hour number 2. And if you call back, 504-260-1280, you will win a pair of Lower Bowl tickets. Great tickets. Jeff, what is the key word?
It's actually a key phrase.
Wait a minute. You can't venture off. Come on, what are you doing?
Second script.
Second line.
Second line. I like it.
That'll work.
That's actually perfect. Second line is the key word. If you give us a call back in hour number 2 when we ask for the key phrase, again, second line.
I was worried you're going to say like sad trombone.
Oh, boy.
No.
That would have also worked.
Second line.
Yeah. Price is Right horn? No. Second line is the key word. You give us a call, hour number 2 when we ask for it.
And that's
Love it.
That's a big-time game. That's
Absolutely.
Big-time game.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. So you give us a call, hour number 2 when we ask for it, 504-260-1280. Even if you make up a phrase, maybe you might win. Dave is kind of at the controls of that, so.
I'm pretty easy. I'm easily entertained.
Exactly. So, but no, big-time game coming up next Tuesday. So, yeah, give us a call. But, Jeff, you had a chance to sit down with the powers that be outside of Gail Benson. You had a chance to sit down with Dennis Lauscha, Mickey Loomis, Greg Bensel, Mike Stanfield. Awesome column. Kudos to you, my friend. And they were just sharing Tom Benson stories. And it's funny because even when, say, Dennis Lauscha spoke Wednesday to the media, and he says, there's a side of Tom Benson, the public doesn't see, and you've sat down with Tom Benson, and I've sat down with Tom Benson, and we've been fortunate enough just to even get a snippet of him just relaxing and being him. And Bud, you had a great conversation with the powers that be on Airline Drive.
Yeah, and it all happened kind of organically. I was interviewing Greg Bensel, the Saints vice president of communications, and Mickey Loomis kind of wandered into the office, and then Dennis Lauscha wandered in, and then all of a sudden Mike Stanfield showed up, and they all just started. They were unwinding, to be honest with you, because they've had a hectic, as I pointed out, I mean, it's been a crazy week for them. They've had all these basketball games that they have to put on for the Pelicans, an unprecedented week amount of work, and all the stuff that's going on in the football operations with free agency. Mickey Loomis is trying to cut deals, trying to get Ndamukong Suh here. I'm sure he's meeting with his football ops, preparing for the draft. And then you've got the planning and organizing it took to put on a 3-day funeral service. I mean, this is a massive event that took place over 3 days, multiple hours at 2 different venues, people flying in from all over the country. You're having to organize that. It's different people on the staff. So they've had to have multiple meetings for those things. I talked to someone yesterday that was going to a second-line planning meeting that they were having. So it just tells you the attention to detail that they had to have. And I think they just needed a break, and it was therapeutic for them to sit around and start telling stories about Tom Benson and what he was like away from the spotlight and what he was like around those closest to him when he was really relaxed and could just be himself. And there were some really funny stories in there. And the thing that stood out to me, guys, is just how much he liked being the butt of jokes and liked enjoying laughing. And we see this kind of brusque, authoritarian.
Yeah, you wouldn't think he would like to be the butt of the joke.
Right.
You would not think that.
But with people close to him, he would be. You're right. I think we don't see that side of him. Obviously, he drives his people hard. He made them work hard. It's why he's so successful, why he was able to build an empire and become a billionaire from very humble roots. But there was a side to him that a lot of people don't see, and some of these stories, I think, illustrate that he enjoyed a lot of things away from he liked to eat out, he liked to be around, but the most important thing is he liked to be around people close to him. And because he's lost so many people in his life, he's had to bury 2 wives, 2 different children early in life. We all know the high-profile split with his family that happened in 2015. Really, he doesn't have any family left. A lot of them have either died or moved on.
His family are actually the people he works with.
Yes, and Gail.
Yes.
And that's his family. Those are the people that are closest to him and know him best. And you got to remember also, and Larry, you know this, I mean, these executives, Greg and Dennis and Mickey and Mike Stanfield and Jay Roman, Ben Hales, they've all worked out there for 20 or 30 years. That's very unusual that you have this stability in the front office. So they've all worked for Tom Benson for decades, and I'm sure have all kinds of stories. We probably were just scratching the surface of the stories they told, but some of them were very funny. I think you'll see a side of Tom Benson if you read the column that you probably didn't know, and I certainly didn't know some of the stories that I heard, and they were laughing very hard, and it reminded me. I think it's also part of the grieving process where you tell these stories and remember fondly, endearingly the person that, let's face it, he indelibly changed their lives and shaped their careers, and the Benson way, very much a part of how they live their lives and how they operate in the business world, is very much going to be carried forward without Tom Benson because of the precedent he set out there every day.
The story I love, and you were telling me this yesterday when you were trying to write this thing, and so I knew it was coming, so I was looking for it. The Earhart Expressway. I love that story. Why don't you relay that to our listeners?
Well, when Tom Benson, he'd always lived in Old Metairie and out in Lakeview, and he finally moved. Gail, his wife, convinced him to move uptown, to live in Audubon Place, right there, that gated community, the oldest gated community in the country, right next.
Oh, people know he lives there.
To
There's
Tulane,
no doubt, absolutely.
right next to Tulane University. So he had to take a different commute to work, which took him along Earhart Expressway. And anybody in New Orleans knows Earhart is this wide open 2-lane, basically thoroughfare. It's almost like a highway.
The Autobahn.
But it's the speed limit there is 50 miles an hour, so it's not conducive to going fast. But Tom Benson was, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe had some lead in his foot when he drove.
He's a renegade.
Which I think is funny, too, because as long as I've seen Benson around the facility, I don't ever always remember seeing him drive. He always had a driver.
I agree. Yeah.
He had Rodney driving for him for a while. I've seen Jay Romig drive for him. So it was weird to hear them say he loved to drive and would drive a lot, and apparently he would drive very fast. And Ben Hales, who also lives uptown, said many a time he'd be driving to work on Earhart and look in his rearview mirror and see what he called the Black Phantom, which is a Mercedes flying by him at 90 miles an hour. And he would ask him later on at the facility. He said, "Mr. Benson, I saw you, going by me on the Earhart. It's pretty fast." And he said, "Well, these old German cars, you can't tell how fast you're going, Ben." You give him a wink because he knew he was speeding, but he also tried to get the speed limit changed and would place multiple calls into the governor to try and get them to raise the speed limit.
I needed to be 130 on Earhart.
Right. It just shows you how Tom Benson thinks and operates, that he can just make a call and get something changed like that.
Look, and sometimes you would think he could do it. It never happened. So sometimes people put up a resistance. Great story. Again, check out Jeff's column at NOLA.com. It's an awesome, awesome insight and behind-the-curtain look at the inner circle of Benson's brain trust, really, that's going to be taking over the team. So, yeah, go check that out. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. I know we're a little over, but we will catch up with Tom Amos, horse trainer, lone sailor, who is going to be running the Louisiana Derby on Saturday. I know Jeff is fired up about that, and Tom's definitely got some good Tom Benson stories, I'm assuming. So we'll talk with Tom Amos. Don't forget, top at 11 o'clock hour, we'll have our friend Catherine Terrell from ESPN. We'll also have Albert Breer at 11:30 from MMQB. We'll talk NFL. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Life's like a road that you travel along. There's one day here and the next day gone. Sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. There's a world outside every darkened door where blues won't haunt you anymore, where the brave are free and lovers soar. Come ride with me to the distant shore.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. Today, a fantastic Friday. Mostly sunny skies. Temperatures warming up a bit to 75 degrees. Tonight, going to be a nice night with overnight lows not as cold, 58 north, 64 south. And for the weekend, it's going to be mostly sunny. A few clouds moving in, but dry, warming up to the lower 80s. Overnight lows, upper 50s to lower 60s. So we do see a spring-like weekend as temperatures warm up, and it will be dry. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
For a limited time, visit any locally owned and operated Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service location and choose their $29 conventional oil change or $10 off a high-mileage synthetic or synthetic blend oil change. Only at Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Discount off regular price. See store for details.
Before Boost, our phone bill was obscene. I had to hide it from the kids. So, we switched to Boost and got lines for the whole family with unlimited gigs for a much more family-friendly price. It's nice to have a phone bill that doesn't require parental controls.
Your family deserves better than scary phone bills. Get 4 lines for only $25 per line, each with unlimited gigs. Plus, get up to 4 free Samsung J7 perks with 6 months of Hulu, where you can stream all the shows everyone is talking about. All on the super reliable and super fast nationwide network. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
Offer ends 4/16/18. First lines $100 a month. Lines 2 to 4 free. Requires 1 line to port in. Includes unlimited talk, text, and data with video streams at up to 480p. Music at up to 500 kilobits per second. Gaming up to 2 megabits per second. Data deprioritization during congestion. Refunds require port-in, purchase of eligible device, and activation on plans $50 or higher. Includes 6 months of access to 1 Hulu limited commercial plan per eligible line for new Hulu subscribers only. Additional restrictions apply. Terms at www.boostmobile.com/Hulu-terms. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
If you're a small business, first impressions can make all the difference. With Grasshopper, you get all the features of a professional business phone system on your mobile phone. Choose a business phone number, make calls, and send texts. Stay connected and work from anywhere with features like Wi-Fi calling and our desktop app. Set up your account in minutes with no long-term contracts and 24/7 customer support. Make your small business big. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. That's grasshopper.com/radio.
If you have a Lowe's Advantage card, you can get an extra 5% off every day on items big or small. So you can save an extra 5% on a new coat of paint, updating appliances, replacing the flooring, and even save an extra 5% on little things like cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, and air filters. The big to-dos to the everyday essentials. You get an extra 5% savings every day when you use your Lowe's Advantage card. If you don't have one, apply today. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Subject to credit approval and can't be combined with any other credit offers. Exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only.
So I fiddle when I can, work when I should, and thank God I'm a country boy.
The uncensored talk about your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. Pleased to be joined by Tom Amos. He's got Lone Sailor running the Louisiana Derby. Of course, big-time trainer over at the fairgrounds. Been doing it for a long, long time. And I know Tom has been telling Jeff he's got to train me to actually learn something about this so I don't just go completely throw my money away. Tom, you got any tips for me or what? Come on.
Larry, I'm here for you, as Jeff will tell you. But I may not be here for you if the tips don't work out. How to go the other way when that happens.
Yeah, well, I won't say if I lost. I'll only give you credit if I win. Absolutely.
That's a good deal for my part.
There you go. Hey, Tom, appreciate you jumping on the show. And just first off, look, I know you've known Tom Benson for a long, long time, and just want to get your thoughts on his passing and what he's meant to you.
Well, I don't think that my feelings about Mr. Benson are different than any other citizen of New Orleans, because, you know, the reality of it is that he was one of us. I mean, you know, he grew up in the city like so many of us did. You know, he talked like us. You know, there's that New Orleans accent. You got to keep that in mind. And he was one of us, and he gave us probably the greatest gift that the people of New Orleans could have ever received, and that is a Super Bowl win. I was around growing up in New Orleans when the Saints were not very good and playing at Tulane Stadium, and back then my dad used to take me to the games. There's a connection between Mr. Benson and everyone in the city, whether they actually knew him or not. But to know him was an honor, and to work for him was, of course, also an honor and something I was very proud of.
And Tom, I know obviously you train now for GMB Racing, and you and I were talking earlier this week about the experience that was afforded to you by training for GMB Racing, of going to the Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago with Mo Tom, and that experience of leading Mo Tom over at the track. And anybody that hasn't been a part of that, I think it's one of the most unique, awesome events in all of sports, and what that meant to you and your family, getting that opportunity to be a memory of a lifetime.
It is a memory of a lifetime, not only for me, but my wife and kids as well. They call that before the race, when the horses leave the barn area, they leave as a group together, and each horse is known to the public because the number he runs in the race is with him as he walks over to the paddock to be saddled. It's about a 15-minute walk, and you are on the racetrack, but you're against the crowd. So you've got 150,000 people all looking at these horses coming over. They refer to that as the walk. And if it doesn't give you goosebumps, then you're really not about what sports is, because it is one of those great moments in sports that to experience it, it is a memory of a lifetime, not only for me, but, of course, my kids.
Tom Amos, horse trainer, join us right here on Dunc and Holder, and has Lone Sailor running in the Louisiana Derby. Of course, that's the pinnacle race of the race season over at the fairgrounds. And, Tom, just tell us about Lone Sailor. Obviously in the running, obviously someone who could win the Louisiana Derby. Just kind of let us know what traits Lone Sailor is going to be bringing tomorrow to the racetrack.
So Lone Sailor has a good resume, but it's inconsistent, and that's the problem. Are we going to get his best effort tomorrow? You know, Larry, think about this horse race like you think about, you know, a people race. So you're going to line up these horses in the gate. They're going to go 1.1 miles, which is a lot of distance for thoroughbred race horses. And they each possess their own style. Some like to go to the front. Some like to lay back. Some like to position themselves in the middle. And that's their style of running. So just like in a people race, how much pace or early energy is used in the race is going to have a lot to say about the outcome. Obviously, if a lot of early energy is used in the race by more than one horse, it's going to favor the horses that close at the end of the race and might conserve their energy. If not, if the pace is slow, then the closers or the ones that like to run late will have a problem. And Lone Sailor is one of those. He likes to close. When you look this race over and you look at the contestants in the race and you examine their past performances, they've all run enough times that their style is evident in their past performances from their other races. What you see is a great deal of speed. So that plays to Lone Sailor. So what we're hoping for on Saturday is that the race unfolds as it looks on paper, that there's a lot of speed up front, horses are using a lot of energy, and Lone Sailor, who sits back and makes a late run, can pick up the pieces and use that late run to win the race.
Yeah, Tom, and I don't think I've asked you about this, but it seems like some days out there play to speed more than others. Seems like sometimes on the big event days they could be speed favoring. Why is that? Is that just the way the track sets up that day? Is it weather related? I'm always curious about how the track can play, the famous track variant, why it differs from day to day.
Well, I think the track is interested in showcasing the horses and getting the best time for the race they can get on a national scale so that they can say, hey, our horses ran this fast at this 1.8 distance, which is a very traditional distance for a Kentucky Derby prep. The Kentucky Derby runs in May, which is a month from now. And for Lone Sailor, he's got to run 1-2 to be a part of the Kentucky Derby. Ironically, as I talk about how the race unfolds, and of course I'm the trainer of Lone Sailor, so perhaps I'm biased in my view, but again, ironically, I picked up the Daily Racing Form on its website last night. And the Daily Racing Form is really to horse racing what the Wall Street Journal is to the stock market. It is our industry magazine, and it covers horse racing and individual horses intricately. So last night in the Daily Racing Form, there was an article from the Forum examining the Louisiana Derby and picking the winner of the Louisiana Derby, and they see it exactly as I do and exactly as I describe to you guys. The Daily Racing Form, their time form writer, picks Lone Sailor to win the Louisiana Derby tomorrow, and that's not a sentimental pick. But I will tell you this, sentiment is going to be on our side, and I think that's going to play a part in the race tomorrow too.
Yeah, Tom, how special is it going to be tomorrow to have this happening, especially on the heels of the passing of Mr. Benson?
I've been thinking a lot about that, and that's never a good thing to do as a trainer, because a good trainer wins 25% of the time. That means you lose 75% of the time. And Lone Sailor's a long shot, so his chances are probably aren't even at that 25%. But I can't help but think about it and how special it would be, and what a great way to honor his legacy, to win the biggest race in his hometown and to do it this weekend. That would be big in terms for me. I'm sure his wife, Gail, who's very involved in the stable, would be so honored if that could happen. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've said a few prayers asking for this one. I've never asked for anything in horse racing, because I know there are much more important things out there that God has to worry about. This is one I really want.
And lastly, Tom, what's the main competition? I mean, I know a race of this magnitude, grade 2, everything on the line to go to the Kentucky Derby, you're going to get all kinds of top horses, top competition. Who do you see as maybe the top horses to beat in this race for Lone Sailor?
Yeah, so it's a great field, and it's a who's who of racing. So breaking from the inside is going to be Bravazo. Bravazo is trained by D. Wayne Lucas. He's won multiple Kentucky Derbies, won more Kentucky Derbies than anybody else. He came down here and won the Louisiana Derby with Grindstone some time back, and then went on to win the Kentucky Derby with that same horse. He's going to be one of the favorites breaking from the inside, and he's a horse that wants to show some speed in the race. Steve Asmussen, who is probably the now trainer in terms of a guy that's, really come to the forefront of not only his career but on the national scene. He'll have a couple of horses in there as well, and he'll be formidable. It really is a wide open race from the standpoint, if you're examining this race, and that's what handicappers do. They look at the race and try to play it out in their head from the information they have in front of them. There are so many possibilities of how this race can go, but the one I'm looking for, again, is for a lot of horses battling up front early in the race, and Lone Sailor making his late run from the outside.
Tom Amos, trainer of Lone Sailor, are going to be running tomorrow in the Louisiana Derby. Again, the pinnacle of the race season for the fairgrounds, and plays a big part in who runs the Kentucky Derby. Hey, Tom, appreciate the time.
Thanks, Tom.
Barry, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be on the show with you guys.
Absolutely, yeah, good to talk.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, Tom.
No doubt about it. All right, let's
good, Jeff.
Yep, let's take a break right here on this show. Don't forget, top 11 o'clock hour, we'll talk with ESPN's Catherine Terrell, of course, former colleague of ours at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. 11:30, we'll talk with Albert Breer from MMQB, and we got time for some phone calls if you want to chime in. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
In my day, son, a man had to answer for the wicked that he done.
Saturday, March 31st at Southport Hall, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can come hang out with members of the Walton & Johnson Show. Crawfish from NOLA boils. More information about the Walton & Johnson Crawfish Bash at WRNO.com.
Sponsored by Chauvin Brothers Tractor.
A 2018 GMC Terrain for under 20 grand? Now that's how you start a legacy. Legacy Buick GMC in Slidell. 2018 Terrain, $19,998. Yes, $19,998. The new 2018 GMC Acadia is now only $25,998. $25,998 for Acadia. Log on to LegacyBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade. On select models, see dealer for details.
This is Smart Hacks for your smart speakers. I'm Stacey Walter. Did you know that Alexa will read bedtime stories to your child? Yeah, just say, Alexa, tell bedtime story to Billy, and you can both sit back until one of you falls asleep. Once upon a time. Alexa also connects you to your favorite live radio stations with iHeartRadio. Tell Alexa to play your favorite iHeartRadio station like this. Alexa, play iHeart 80s. Playing iHeart 80s on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio has all your favorite music and radio on your smart speaker. This has been Smart Hacks for your smart speakers.
Capital One presents Congress finalizing the Louisiana Purchase.
Napoleon will never go for our offer. It's too low. He's too low.
You're a nincompoop.
Oh, Jefferson has something.
Gentlemen, I've just received word from my Capital One app. The Louisiana Purchase is complete.
Instant purchase notifications from Capital One, so you won't miss a purchase. Technology this helpful could make history.
What's in your wallet?
Not available for debit cards. Capital One Bank USA N.A.
Actor William Shatner calling out Facebook over an ad that said he was dead. The 87-year-old Shatner found out about his alleged death by a fan on Twitter who pointed out the sponsored ad on Facebook's Messenger app. The sci-fi actor tweeting the social media site with the company shortly after contacting him saying it had been removed. The Shatner hoax comes as Facebook is under fire for a data breach and continued reports of fake news. Celine Dion citing health concerns as the reason she's canceling multiple upcoming shows at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas is she deals with an ear condition. She will be having minor surgery to help correct the problem. Queen Latifah mourning the loss of her mother, the actress telling People magazine that her mom, Rita Owens, passed away from a heart condition she'd been battling for more than a decade. Latifah said she is heartbroken but knows Owens is at peace. She dubbed her the love of her life. Clarissa still has more to explain, apparently. Nickelodeon trying to bring back 90s staple Clarissa Explains It All, complete with Melissa Joan Hart returning. Decades later, Clarissa is a mother and has her own family. Hart is reportedly in talks with Nickelodeon to work out the details. That's entertainment. Jennifer Bolzoni, NBC News Radio.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. 20 years ago, when my mom had lung cancer, she didn't have many choices. But today, you do. If you've been diagnosed with lung cancer, please visit standuptocancer.org/lungcancer to learn more.
Miss my alarm clock ringing.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Jeff, as you reported, a who's who. He's showing up to St. Louis Cathedral. I know you're going to be ducking out of here in a couple minutes. Roger Goodell is already at St. Louis Cathedral. So is Adam Silver, David Stern. Of course, they're there for the funeral for Tom Benson. And, Jeff, if I don't see you with an umbrella boogieing down in that second line, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Tom Benson would want it that way. He wants you to boogie down.
We'll see.
You know he does.
We'll see.
know he does.
Well, no, there's no doubt he would.
Boogie down while a brass band plays Al Jarreau's Boogie Down. It would be perfect.
Al Jarreau, hello.
See, one of my favorites.
I wonder what band it would. Do you think they'll have the band from the Superdome? What is the Storyland? Is that what they're called?
I forgot the name of the
plays the Saints games, the long time band. No, it's not. I think it might be Storyland Jazz Band. No, I may be wrong.
I know a bunch of us talked about it now. I forget the name of the band.
We talked about them at the Louisiana. Oh, the Saints.
You're not supposed to say that, Jeff.
Say anything. But
what's the matter with you?
I could see them playing. But it'll be interesting to see. Look, that's how we celebrate in New Orleans. Funerals, we celebrate the life. And goodness, Tom Benson had an extraordinary life. From humble roots in the 7th Ward, St. Aloysius, and then ends up being the richest man, or one of the richest men in the state, one of the richest men in the country.
I think he's the only billionaire that's actually been here, or no?
No, well, Bill Goldring, I'm pretty sure, also a billionaire. And in North Louisiana, James Davison, whose son now, Steve Davison, runs the company, a trucking magnate. He was the largest booster in Louisiana Tech athletics. The man that kind of brought Karl Malone to Louisiana Tech. They're right up there as well. They at one time actually looked into buying the Saints when there was some rumors they might be for sale. But Tom Benson, from where he came from to where he ended up, is an amazing life story. And so there'll be a great celebration of that today at the Mass, and then the second line down to the Ursuline Convent. Should be a special kind of a New Orleans event.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you want to get down there, I mean, it's I don't think you can get into the funeral, but if you want to get down there for the second line, I'm sure you'll be more than welcome. But Jeff, we've chatted about Tom Benson for much of the past, say, 8 days, and yet still, it's anytime you run into someone, or look, you've written columns, I've written columns about Tom Benson, and even when I was out there for Wednesday's visitation, and I remember talking with Owen and Yvette Rie, and Saints fans, they were second in line, literally second in line in the visitation line, and they loved Tom Benson. They wanted to be there, and yet it's still that crazy kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but one side of Tom Benson they love, and then yet there's the other side of Tom Benson where you're like, whoa, he almost took the team away and almost did this and that, and it's this legacy that you see now because you're basically celebrating his life, and yet you see that there's this other part of the legacy, and that's why it's kind of a conundrum for people here in New Orleans.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about it before, being complicated, and I remember something that Paul Tagliabue said to us back when he came and visited the Times-Picayune editorial board, and I think it was a good lesson for everybody when they consider Tom Benson. He said to us, we have a human nature to want to put a black hat on people or a white hat, and more often than not, it's gray. And we try to make people into heroes and villains, and there's a lot more gray there, and that's probably true for Tom Benson. It's probably true for all of us, and I think it's a good kind of measuring stick for all of us, a guidepost for us when we consider the legacy of Tom Benson, because I don't think it's nearly as black and white as people want to make it out to be.
No, he's not this villain, and yet he's probably not totally the saint that we make it out to be. But still, he's done a hell of a lot here.
And I think people evolve and mature as they go along all the way to the very end. I think that's the other thing that you have to consider. It's not just Tom Benson, anybody.
You live and learn.
Yes. I remember Reggie Bush coming to the Saints. He was, as somebody in the organization said, a selfish little punk when he came in. But he grew and matured. People matured. Marcus Cousins is maturing. He's not the same person he was 5 years ago. Tom Benson's not the same person he was at the end that he was 30 years ago when he was running his Chevrolet dealerships. You have to consider that.
Absolutely. So, all right, hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. Jeff's going to be rolling out. Jeff, real quick, just some of the dignitaries you anticipating showing up. We already know Roger Goodell's there. Adam Silver, David Stern, just some of the other dignitaries.
Well, Paul Tagliabue, former NFL commissioner, is there. David Stern, the former NBA commissioner, is there. John Bell Edwards, governor of the state. Of course, Mitch Landrieu and Mayor-elect LaToya Cantrell, the city council. 5 or 6 NFL owners, Daniel Snyder from the Washington Redskins, Jerry Jones from the Cowboys. Should be a who's who of the NFL today.
Absolutely. All right, Jeff. See you next week or never again because I'll be in Orlando, so maybe I'll see you again.
Yes, well, we'll see you on the backside of your trip down to Orlando. I'll see you, Clyde, on Monday.
Yes, on Monday.
And everybody have a great weekend out there. It's spectacular in New Orleans.
There you go. All right, hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. Got some good NFL talk coming. We've got Catherine Terrell of ESPN. She covers the Bengals, but of course, you probably remember her from being our colleague, formerly covering the Saints for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. We'll talk with her. And then right at 11:30, we will talk with Albert Breer from MMQB. We'll talk all things NFL, and if you want to get involved, 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here. Me, Clyde, Dave, we're going to hold this sport down. Let's do it. So hour number 2 is on the way here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app on a country fried, beautiful Friday. Get outside, listen to a little Dunc and Holder here.
Here's today's tax tip. A New Jersey tax expert says it's important to do your homework before hiring someone to prepare your tax return. Certified public accountant Frank Baglieri of MM&B in Glen Rock, New Jersey, says ask people you trust for recommendations, including your lawyer, insurance agent, bank manager, or your financial advisor. Also says you can go to the State Society of CPAs to look for enrolled agents. He says while the initial conversation with a potential tax preparer can be over the phone, you should sit down face-to-face before turning over your tax documents. Baglieri also says it's important to make sure the person you're considering hiring is up on current tax law and has completed the 120 hours of continuing education that's required over a 3-year period to maintain their CPA license. Baglieri recommends assessing your current and short-term tax needs, including estate planning, before meeting with a potential accountant. He says ask lots of questions, including whether the candidate is familiar with your type of tax return. That's today's tax tip from NBC News Radio. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
Starting with news from the NFL, running back Frank Gore signed a 1-year deal with the Dolphins. The Eagles have signed receiver Mike Wallace to a 1-year deal. And we're getting some breaking news this morning that sports magnate and billionaire Wayne Huizenga has passed away. He was 80 years old. He was a part owner of the Marlins, the Panthers, and the Miami Dolphins at one point during his life. College hoops, the remaining games of the Sweet 16 tip off tonight. The first game of the night features top seed Kansas taking on 5 seed Clemson at 7 Eastern. Then the other lone surviving top seed Villanova faces 5 seed West Virginia at 7:30 Eastern. Those games are followed by Duke versus Syracuse and a Purdue-Texas Tech matchup. Warriors guard Steph Curry is probable to return from his ankle injury tonight against the Hawks. Golden State is expected, however, to continue to be without Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. I'm Deb Carson.
We are Fox Sports. Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword cash to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's cash to 200-200.
Shop Lowe's Spring Black Friday event and save big. If you've been thinking of updating old appliances, now's the time because you can save up to 30% on select appliance special values, including washers, dryers, refrigerators, and more. And make plans to go out for dinner with up to 20% off select grills. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 3/28 while supplies last. More exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only.
At CVS Pharmacy at Target, we put a little extra heart into everything we do, like actively looking to save you money. Generics, 90-day refills, even rewards. Get a $5 Target coupon for every 10 prescriptions. On your next Target run, stop by CVS Pharmacy. We're the place with the big heart. Not valid on all prescriptions, including those purchased in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. Other restrictions apply. See cvs.com/extracare-target or the pharmacy for details. CVS Pharmacy at Target. Health is everything.
Mike Hudson, area president for iHeartMedia New Orleans. iHeartMedia New Orleans is growing its sales force. If you're an experienced media rep, any media, I want to talk to you. Call me, 504-679-7300, or email me, michaelhudson@iheartmedia.com. iHeartMedia is the largest media company in the world. Grow with us. We're looking for you. We'll pay you what you're worth. 504-679-7300, or email me, michaelhudson@iheartmedia.com. iHeartMedia is an equal opportunity employer.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text RULE to 321-321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenics samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text RULE to 321-321. That's RULE to 321-321.
Actor William Shatner calling out Facebook over an ad that said he was dead. The 87-year-old Shatner found out about his alleged death by a fan on Twitter who pointed out the sponsored ad on Facebook's Messenger app. The sci-fi actor tweeting the social media site with the company shortly after contacting him saying it had been removed. The Shatner hoax comes as Facebook is under fire for a data breach and continued reports of fake news. Celine Dion citing health concerns as the reason she's canceling multiple upcoming shows at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas is she deals with an ear condition. She will be having minor surgery to help correct the problem. Queen Latifah mourning the loss of her mother, the actress telling People magazine that her mom, Rita Owens, passed away from a heart condition she'd been battling for more than a decade. Latifah said she is heartbroken but knows Owens is at peace. She dubbed her the love of her life. Clarissa still has more to explain, apparently. Nickelodeon trying to bring back 90s staple Clarissa Explains It All, complete with Melissa Joan Hart returning. Decades later, Clarissa is a mother and has her own family. Hart is reportedly in talks with Nickelodeon to work out the details. That's entertainment. Jennifer Bolzoni, NBC News Radio.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Louisiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who play high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Louisiana High School Athletic Association and the Louisiana High School Athletic Directors Association.
Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Friday, March 23rd. Jeff has flown the coop. He's heading out to St. Louis Cathedral for Tom Benson's funeral mass. Claude Verdun is still here with us. Dave DeCourbier is still here with us. We're saying kind of some evil things about Clarissa Knows It All. I mean, were we saying that during the break?
No, we weren't saying that we weren't saying evil things, but
that she's going to be evil?
No. So they're doing a remake or a kind of a different interpretation
A
of
reimagining
of the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina
the Teenage Witch. But instead of it being like a quirky, funny family show, this is going to be like a very dark, kind of almost like horror-like type of show. And then like the cat if you remember the cat, it was just like it was an embodiment of someone that was turned into a cat because he was a bad boy. Now this cat's gonna be like a demonic creature that like is trying to not be a cat and then like take over the world and all this kind of stuff, which is just weird.
So it's like The Craft?
Yeah, it's gonna be like The Craft.
Score.
Yeah.
Perfect segue for Catherine Terrell from ESPN. Hello, Catherine. Clarissa knows it all. Big fan, I know you are, right?
I mean, you do know I watch everything that came from the 90s.
Holler.
I actually was a big fan.
Who wasn't?
I
mean,
know it.
obviously. Now let's talk about Breaking Bad. What do you know about that?
What? Clyde,
don't worry, she knows what I'm doing. She knows what I'm doing.
Talking about?
I watched one episode once.
I saw this on her Twitter. Like, someone asked her about Breaking Bad. She was like, I only saw one episode. I know I'm a terrible person. I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Anywho, Catherine, I'll save you from Clyde's insanity, even though you know me for long enough and I'm insane as well. But, Catherine, appreciate you jumping on the show. And let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, since that's a team you cover, right? You cover the Cincinnati Bengals. What's been going on with them?
From time to time, yeah.
What's kind of give us the lowdown, because we know that the Saints are going to be playing the Bengals up in Cincinnati this year. So give us a little snapshot of what's going on. We know Marvin Lewis is back, even though many of us figured he might not be. So kind of just give us a lay of the land up there in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think he's going into his 100th season now, something like that. I might be off for it by a few years. It's kind of funny. I don't know if you just saw the most recent, I think it was Boveda odds to win the Super Bowl. They just moved the Browns ahead of the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. The Bengals are something like 90-1. And
that's not good.
Crazy to me.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good, but they're really not. They're not a bad team. I mean, they've had two not great years, but I guess maybe it's a lot of Bengals fans just fed up and betting on other teams. I don't know how that works, but they did have a good offseason until the news a few days ago that Vontaze Burfict is facing a 4-game suspension. So it's very likely that suspension is not going to be overturned. They almost never overturn those. So if the Saints play the Bengals in the first month of the season, they probably won't be facing Vontaze Burfict.
Captain Terrell, oh, never mind. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Sorry, you probably told me this 53 times in life since we used to work together.
Yeah, that happens a lot. But I think they've had a decent offseason. They got a new left tackle. They were in the running for Kurt Coleman, actually. It was kind of funny covering that story, and it was the team I cover and the team I used to cover. We're trying to get the same player.
Catherine Terrell of ESPN joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. So, okay, the fact that the Browns are now above the Bengals in these odds, but what kind of prognosis do you see for this team? Like, we've seen Andy Dalton. He's been there. He's just been kind of Do you think they actually go out and maybe look for a quarterback in the draft? We know A.J. McCarron is gone. What do you make of the prognosis of the quarterback position?
I think it would definitely be a day 3 thing if they got a quarterback. They've been firmly in Andy Dalton's camp. He did not have a good year last year. Part of that was they have a very bad offensive line. But part of that was he just simply didn't look good. He was making a lot of throws that went out of bounds. He was missing on a lot of throws. But they believe in Andy Dalton, so that's their guy for the next few years. The backup situation is a little more in flux. They just signed Matt Barkley. He has some experiences with the Bears 2 years ago. Didn't really turn out well. I think he was 1 of 5 as a starter. But they also have Jeff Driscoll behind him. So they've kind of been bringing up the last 2 years. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go looking for somebody late in the draft maybe, but definitely nobody in the first few rounds.
Okay, so Marvin Lewis, he's still there. We were figuring maybe he'd be on his way out. I'm just going to ask you, why is he still there?
Well, the Bengals are a team that value continuity above everything else, basically. If you look at the way they sign players, they usually run out their contracts. And usually teams don't do that. You know the Saints don't do that.
Sure.
Usually, yeah, they don't. These players usually don't reach the end of the contract. But if you're signed by the Bengals, you're probably going to play out your whole contract before you get another one. They rarely cut people before their contract ends. they just value, I guess, consistency and continuity. And I mean, they've definitely gotten it. They haven't won a playoff game since 1990. They've made it to the playoffs a lot, 5 straight years before they had a few down years. And I think that they just didn't want to overhaul the whole staff. I did think for a few weeks that Marvin Lewis was gone, but as it got closer to the end of the season, I just felt that the tide kind of started turning there. And they finished the season with a win against the Ravens. And when he didn't say that night, although he was very emotional, he didn't say he was leaving, I started to think he was coming back. So he's on a new 2-year contract. And, I guess we'll see what happens. They did overhaul their assistants, but, fans are kind of waiting for something else to happen. Marvin Lewis is, I think, 16th year. He's the second longest tenured coach in the league behind Belichick. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Catherine, specifically now going into next year, it's not going to be an easy schedule. I mean, obviously, along with playing the NFC South division opponents, and obviously, clearly in their own division, the AFC, they've got to play the Broncos, the Chiefs. You're playing the Raiders and the Chargers out in the West, but then you've also got the Dolphins and the Colts. So specifically going into 2018, if it's already been tough sledding for the Bengals already as it is, this schedule is not going to get any easier for them. Is there any way that they're looking ahead at trying to figure out how to not only navigate their own division, but navigate this challenging schedule? Because the South has been pretty tough as well, along with some of these other divisions that they have to go up against next year.
Yeah, I was actually talking about that with someone the other day. It's at face value, it's definitely one of the tougher schedules, especially if some of these better teams are going to play them in September when they probably don't have perfect. And they're also trying to break in a new defensive coordinator. So the Bengals need to get out to a fast start, probably more now than ever. They've kind of fallen. I mean, they've definitely fallen behind Pittsburgh in the division. They haven't beat them in a few years, especially not since that playoff game in 2015. So I think for the Bengals, it's going to depend on whether they can fix their offensive line. Andy Dalton can be a serviceable quarterback if he has a good offensive line and has time to throw. Once he starts getting on the run, that's when things kind of go bad. They need to have a good pass rush, and they need to figure out the linebacker situation. So the perfect situation definitely kind of throws a wrench in things. It felt like things were kind of starting to trend the right way, and now it's back to square one. It's the third season in a row. They're waiting to see if they won't have one of their best players.
Catherine Terrell of ESPN joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Catherine, I'm going to make you rewind the clock a little bit. Just from afar, what do you make of the Saints right now? Obviously, when you were here, we covered them in 2013. That was your first year on the beat. They made the playoffs. You hadn't seen a playoff game since then, and now they're back in the playoffs. Just kind of what do you make from afar of what you've been seeing from the Saints as far as their progression?
Well, first of all, I'm clearly bad luck. I think that's...
You got a playoff game. Actually, you saw a playoff win in Philadelphia, so you're not too bad of luck. Not too bad, at least.
I don't know. I went to Cincinnati, and they started losing. But
that's true. Facts.
It was funny. Last time I was on the show, sometime way early in the fall, it was mass panic time because the Saints were 0-2.
I would never panic. I would never panic, nor make a proclamation.
Or anything like that.
I would never do that.
Call it like it is.
I'm surprised Catherine didn't fly down from Cincinnati to hacksaw my brains. I'm surprised. I'm totally stunned.
Anyway, at the time, it seems like, okay, here we go again with the Saints. They're going to have another season where they get into this 0-4 hole, and they have to dig out of it, and they finish 7-9. And I just, from afar, I just feel like this team has really good chemistry, and I think that that's what they've been lacking. You remember in 2014, I think that team had a lot of talent and should have been better, but the locker room chemistry was just so awful.
Catherine, what are you talking about? Junior Gillette was a choir boy. He's you and me's best friend. He's our buddy.
Yeah, he loves you. I heard.
He loves you too. Last I checked.
I don't think I'm his favorite person in the world.
I think we're both on the do not do not answer list on his phone, I'm assuming.
All three of his phones. I don't delete contacts out of my phones, and I have Junior Galette 1, 2, and 3 because he used to change his number all the time.
Boy. Yeah.
But I really do think that the Saints are in a good position now. I think they're poised to be. I mean, we always talk about the window. Remember, the window is slammed open, or whatever
Yes.
Drew Brees used to say.
No, Sean
But
Payton
they've
would
got
say
a
it.
window.
Yeah, Sean Payton would say it.
They
Yeah.
do, Sean. But they have a window, and it's probably 2 more years. And I think that they can make a run. I mean, this team is talented enough; they should be in the playoffs again next year. I would be very surprised if they weren't. I think they've had a good offseason, too. I think they've been very aggressive, and that's always kind of what I liked about the Saints is that they're always willing to be that aggressive. You know, covering the Bengals, they're the total opposite. They're very cautious. And sometimes I think that you need to make these aggressive moves. Sometimes it blows up on you, and we've seen that with this team, but other times it works out perfectly, and I think that they're just going to get there. I mean, especially their offense. I think they got great pieces in place.
Catherine Terrell of ESPN. Hey, Catherine, appreciate you jumping on the show. And real quick, who you got? Louisiana Derby, go. We had Tom Amos on half hour ago. You better go bet on his horse. Go, Lone Sailor.
Well, it would be very fitting for Lone Sailor to win this weekend. However, I do like the Todd Pletcher horse. I think its name is Noble Indy, but I don't know. I think this weekend, if Lone Sailor won, I think there'd be a lot of happy people around this city.
Catherine, if I give you $3, somewhere between 3 and 5, will you pick me a winner? Go. Are you sure?
You have to come to the track.
Oh, well, I can't do that. That's why they got off-track betting.
Get out there and make an appearance.
No, that's why they got off-track betting over in Gretna and go to the OTB and hang out with the chain smokers. It'll be party on.
Hey, well, I'll be at the Louisiana Derby tomorrow, so maybe I'll see you there.
No, you will not see me there, but you can.
Probably not.
No, you will not see me there. All right, Catherine. All I know is we can go on and just chat like we're on the phone. But we actually have commercials here on the radio. So, all right, Catherine.
Okay, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, that's Catherine Terrell. She's one of the best in the business. There's a reason why she left here to go to ESPN because she crushes it on the Bengals beat. Does an awesome job.
We had her and we had Triplett this week. It's a pretty good week.
Some NOLA.com times picky alarms. And what am I doing here? What are you doing here?
It shows you that there's hope eventually.
No, there's no hope of you ever getting rid of me, people. That's the problem. I'm sure they're begging.
I wasn't talking about you, man.
Larry, go away. Nope. There's 40 more minutes of you, me,
no Babatunde
Dave.
to that.
But
no Babatunde to that.
In about 12 minutes or so, we'll talk with our good buddy Albert Breer from MMQB, another one best in the business. Man, we just knocking it out here on a Friday. So come on back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
And the most beautiful girl holding both of them. Yeah, the view I love the most is my front porch looking in.
With up to 16 chances a day, every weekday to win $1,000. A smart move would be to listen.
I'm a smart speaker, and I agree.
The keyword to text and win comes at the top of the hour.
The smart money is on.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
It's music to your ears. The chance to visit one of the most unique cities in the world while it's celebrating its historic 300th birthday. Welcome to San Antonio's Tricentennial. A full year of events, exhibits, and unmatched fun. There's never been more to do, experience, and taste than right now. And it's all waiting for you here in this one-of-a-kind city, rich in culture, character, and endless entertainment. Plan your perfect trip at visitsanantonio.com.
At CVS Pharmacy at Target, we put a little extra heart into everything we do, like actively looking to save you money. Generics, 90-day refills, even rewards. Get a $5 Target coupon for every 10 prescriptions. On your next Target run, stop by CVS Pharmacy. We're the place with the big heart. Not valid on all prescriptions, including those purchased in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. Other restrictions apply. See cvs.com/extracare-target or the pharmacy for details. CVS Pharmacy at Target. Health is everything.
You want your smoke alarm to work, right? Kidde is recalling nearly 500,000 smoke detectors in the U.S. and Canada. The company says a yellow cap that may have been left on some of the smoke detectors could cover a sensor preventing it from detecting smoke. If you're going to be late for work, at least have a good excuse.
CareerBuilder took a survey and listed some most interesting excuses for tardiness. Some of those include, I was here, but I fell asleep in the parking lot, or my fake eyelashes were stuck together, or even an astrologer warned of a car accident on a major highway, so I took the longer, slower back roads. My personal favorite, I had morning sickness. You want to know what's so odd about that? The excuse came from a man. Elisa Z, NBC News Radio.
YouTube is clamping down on gun videos. The Google-owned video sharing site had already banned videos that show you how to use things like bump stocks to convert firearms and make them fire quicker. Now YouTube is going to ban videos involving direct sales of firearms, certain accessories, and videos that link to websites through which firearms are sold. The new ban will kick in next month. New numbers compiled by the Economic Policy Institute show how much it costs a single person to live in certain U.S. cities. In Brownsville, Texas, for example, if you're single, you can get by on just over $29,000 a year. In San Francisco, that number shoots up to about $69,000 a year. Toy manufacturer Isaac Larian isn't giving up on Toys R Us. The man behind the Bratz dolls and LOL Surprise is also behind a GoFundMe campaign to save Toys R Us. Larian and other investors are ponying up $200 million and are seeking another $800 million through the crowdfunding campaign. Consumer and business news. Peter Finch, NBC News Radio.
There are over 41,000 Chinese restaurants in America, and CNN ranked the top 50. Trey Yen in Mandeville made the list. To experience some of the finest Chinese food anywhere, take the short trip across the lake tonight. Trey Yen.
I may drink too much and play too loud.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Dunc and Holder made the list. We don't know what list, but they made.
Oh, I can imagine the list we've made.
The list.
They're not good ones.
I don't want to see Clyde's list. I'm sure I'm up top of buffoon of the year. Nah, we've got some others who have been bigger buffoons than me, I think.
Absolutely.
Anywho, no good segue, but great, beautiful weekend for college baseball. We didn't really touch on it earlier in the week, but LSU taking down Tulane midweek, and that's leading up to pretty big weekend both for LSU and Tulane. Tulane is going to be hosting Cincinnati. They're opening the AAC schedule, and Clyde, you know, we've talked a lot about Tulane baseball here, and we knew that schedule was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And even though some teams like Long Beach State, I know they're not exactly the big-time world beaters that we're typically used to seeing, Cal State Fullerton as well, but still, they're powers that you would assume would bounce back. And so Tulane, look, they've had some tough sledding. I'm curious to see how they respond once the AAC starts. And unfortunately for Tulane, the expectations, at least throughout the conference, are not that high. They're picked to finish last, and I don't remember ever seeing that from a Tulane team. So I'm curious to see how they kind of propel themselves starting this weekend over at Greer Field Church and Stadium.
Yeah, well, I mean, this clearly now, from what we've seen from Tulane so far, and they'll still have some games here, some midweek games to be able to kind of up their record, but now really everything's on the line. But the biggest thing I think for Tulane now is the fact that after playing, it seemed like they were at home almost every weekend to start the year. And
outside of the Long Beach series,
but
right.
That's the thing what I was about to say. Like,
well, they went to Ole Miss too.
Yeah. I mean, but they played 12 straight games in New Orleans between February 27th and March 14th.
Yeah.
Now they're about to play 11 of their next 15 away from New Orleans. So now not only are you talking about opening conference play, but you're talking about opening conference play after this weekend with some big road games. And I mean, obviously now this is when everything matters. And specifically for Tulane is going to have to do whatever it can to like have not only better, they have good starts, but they have been able to close these games out. And I think that's the biggest thing that I remember, Travis Jewett telling us when we had him on before the season started, was that the question wasn't so much about outside of finding, their middle infielders and who was going to take over those spots and how they were going to be able to compete. It was the fact that how were they going to play starting out as a team and then going into the later innings where you have to have lockdown closes, you have to play good defense, and you have to have pitchers who can come in out of the bullpen when necessary to keep and hold on to leads. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to do that.
Yep. Now LSU is going to be going to Vandy. Of course, that has become a major college baseball power. Of course, LSU was able to take 2 of 3 at home in their first SEC series against Missouri. And kind of ho-hum, I'd say. What's LSU? 15-7, 14-7, 15-7.
Yeah, 15-7, 2-1 in the league after taking 2 of 3 from Missouri. While Vanderbilt comes in at 15-6 and 3-0 in the SEC.
And so that's going to be a huge series. Claude, what have you kind of seen from LSU? We kind of know some of the names. We've seen, of course, the Jordan brothers and Zach Watson, and we've seen Hess emerge from that closer role, and now he's one of their bona fide starters. What's something that maybe stood out to you with this LSU squad? And it's kind of similar to Tulane. The expectations for LSU still aren't as high, even though we assume they're going to be NCAA tournament bound, and you just assume they have a super regional and get to the College World Series and probably win it all. But, hey, what have you seen from them that's maybe from one way or the other? Positives or negatives?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that what's so strange about this this LSU team, and specifically going into this weekend, this is by far probably going to be one of the stiffest tests they've faced so far, because Vanderbilt's coming in as the number 5 team in the country right now. So they're number 5 in collegiate baseball, number 9 in Baseball America. So and Vanderbilt has been a team that has consistently been an SEC force, along with LSU and along with some others, because the SEC looks like it's going to be pretty tough this year. But I guess the biggest thing specifically for me has been how much we've talked about the youth on the pitching staff. And if you look at the youth of the pitching staff, we're talking about specifically Zach Hess, sophomore, who's coming in, who's going to be the game one starter tonight. He's 3-2 overall with a 5.08 ERA in 28 in the third inning. So that's your opening night starter, but then your closer or your third starter on the weekend is going to be Mikhail Hilliard. And for me, this kid has been a revelation, because he's coming into this game 5-0, a .77 ERA in 23 and a third innings.
All I know is I see him on Twitter just from LSU baseball, and he's already you could tell he's kind of got it, and he's pitching like he's kind of got it.
And if there's one thing LSU baseball fans love more than anything, it's having that like one guy that has just enough swagger to make you really be that kind of lightning rod to come in, especially on those Sunday getaway days, because those getaway days are so wacky, they're so zany, because you're talking about your top 2 guys are always going to go that Friday and that Saturday, unless things change up, you have an injury, things like that. But your dominant starters are going those first 2 days, and that third guy is usually a guy who can come in and you're going to use maybe a few more guys, but clearly Hilliard is not that guy. Hilliard wants to come in and he wants to go as far as he can, really keep teams down. I mean, he's got 20 strikeouts to 8 walks. That's an unbelievable strikeout to walk ratio for a freshman, no less. And that's huge, because they're going to need a pitcher like that down the stretch. When you're talking about seeding for the SEC tournament, when you go into that, and specifically picking up a lot of these wins in the SEC, but it's going to be a tough weekend for them.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break right here on the show, and when we get back, we will talk with Albert Breer from MMQB, one of the best in the business. And we got a little time, final segment, if you want to jump in. You can. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Don't get older.
It gets sweeter with time.
Saturday, March 31st at Southport Hall, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can come hang out with members of the Walton & Johnson Show. Crawfish from NOLA boils. More information about the Walton & Johnson Crawfish Bash at WRNO.com.
Sponsored by Chauvin Brothers Tractor.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by SOS Children's Villages.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. Today, a fantastic Friday. Mostly sunny skies. Temperatures warming up a bit to 75 degrees. Tonight, going to be a nice night with overnight lows not as cold, 58 north, 64 south. And for the weekend, it's going to be mostly sunny. A few clouds moving in, but dry. Warming up to the lower 80s. Overnight lows, upper 50s to lower 60s. So we do see a spring-like weekend as temperatures warm up and it will be dry. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
War, poverty, and disaster have left millions of children around the world orphaned, abandoned, alone. When their parents can't be there, SOS Children's Villages is there in 134 countries, including the U.S. To make a difference in a child's life, go to sosusa.org.
Mr. Red's Seafood and Italian Restaurant, serving the best fried chicken in town. Fresh Louisiana seafood as well as delicious Italian dishes. Try our daily chef specials or an overstuffed po' boy. Open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. with 2 locations to serve you. In Bucktown at 1001 Live Oak between Bonneville and Lake Avenue, or in Kenner at 910 West Esplanade at Chateau Boulevard. Let Mr. Ed's cater your next event. Mr. Ed's Seafood and Italian Restaurant. 2 great locations, 1 great menu. Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House, now open in the Quarter 7 days a week at 512 Bienville.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie, it's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year! Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace. Learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
Learn what our insiders know about your home teams. Sports 1280 New Orleans.
I'm going crazy. I love you, baby.
Great show. If you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube page. Clyde will do an update on NOLA.com as well, and we'll be soon joined by Albert Breer from MMQB. And look, the Saints, we're certainly figuring that they will be in the mix this season, obviously. Even though Vegas thinks the San Francisco 49ers are better. That's kind of bizarre.
They got a lot of traction yesterday.
I was about to say, that's kind of bizarre, but no, there's no doubt they've prepared themselves for staying in the mix here in the NFC, and of course as a Super Bowl contender. And joining us right here on the show, MMQB's Albert Breer. Albert, appreciate you jumping on the show. Just first off, Saints-wise, what do you make of their offseason? We know Drew Brees was going to be coming back. Of course, they cut it close. People panicked. No big deal. He's back. But what do you make of what they've done this offseason?
Well, Larry, I think one of the main things you can look for from the Saints is internal improvement, and, I know they took their big swings and, looking at Jimmy Graham and looking at Ndamukong Suh, and I guess right now the Suh probably winds up with the Rams, and then they filled a hole in bringing in DeMario Davis. But I think what this offseason always going to be for them was, A, taking care of Brees, and then, B, I think getting better internally. That was always where the improvement was going to come from. They've done a better job of drafting the last few years, in particular in 2017. And so, I think when you do that, you got a chance to get better without doing anything, without bringing in a whole lot of people from the outside. And so, I would think that that's part of the thinking there is that Alvin Kamara is going to be a year better. Ryan Ramchik's going to be a year better. Marcus Williams is going to be a year better. The guys that you have in the building, Marshawn Lattimore, of course, we show plenty of promise and, promise that they'll get better with more time in the league.
Albert, I know you and me, we did not see this coming, hence why I have still not too much hair from last year. And so what do you make of this team going forward as far as do you think they can make the push? Because, look, odds makers, at this point in time, who the hell knows, but odds makers still have them as one of the better teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
And yet, what do you make of them going into this season? Do you think they can take that next step?
You're absolutely right. I thought it was a bad team going into last year.
You and me both, my friend.
I thought there was a chance that last year was going to be the year that the bottom dropped out. And I think the reason that's not the case is really, really simple. It's if you draft well, then all of a sudden you've got a bunch of cheap talent on your roster, and you're going to continually get better as time goes on. And I think as they became more reliant on the 4 rookies last year, you saw them getting better and better. And so it's just, I know it sounds simple, but it's, part of the reason why you and I didn't see it last May or June or July was because we didn't know just how good Lattimore and Williams and Ramczyk and Kamara were going to be. And, lo and behold, they've got the defensive rookie of the year. They've got a guy who, certainly looks like he could wind up being next year to one of the premier offensive weapons in football in Kamara. You've got a starting tackle and a starting free safety. That's 4 starting players and 4 impact starters that you have going forward. And so, I know it's not a sexy answer. I know it doesn't really, it really doesn't, it's not going to give everybody like this great hope that, that things are going to take a similar jump from 17 to 18 that they took from 16 to 17. But it really is where all the improvement came from, at least from my perspective.
Albert Breer from MMQB, joining us right here on Dunk and Holder. All right, Albert, let's kind of switch gears to what could be coming, the draft. And what do you make of this quarterback class? Because they've made these trades. We've obviously seen that. People are assuming quarterback's going to go 1, 2, 3. And, can you make heads or tails of who actually will be, say, the best of this bunch? Because everybody's got Sam Darnold. Me personally, and if this were to happen, I have no idea. But say if the Saints at 27, say if someone like Baker Mayfield dropped. If I were the Saints, I would run to the podium because, me personally, I think he's going to be the best of the bunch.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. I think he's going to be long gone by then. And look,
yes.
I think this is a lot like every year of a quarterback, especially the years where, you go in and you sort of know who the guys are beforehand. There's always a lot of hype in the summer, and then, everybody starts to put the microscope on them, and they start picking them apart. And then you hear in January or February how the class is as good as we thought it was. And then you get into March, and all of a sudden, you see the way teams are acting, not what they're saying, but what they're doing. And, you're right back in the same position you are most years. You've got 2 or 3 of them going in the top 10. And so...
well, Albert said, forget it. Or, Dave, you just hung up on him.
I'll show you.
I'll show you. No, but yeah. Look, you have this quarterback class, and Clyde, we've talked about it, and we've seen mock drafts and such, and Lamar Jackson to the Saints. I agree with Albert. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to be around. That's why I put in my mock draft. If he's anywhere, if he's there, if I'm the Saints, I'm running to the podium. I know some people might be running to scream at me, but still, I think he's going to be great. But you never know. Because we're probably going to be seeing Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen go 1, 2, 3, and I don't know. I feel like I've been programmed maybe to think that Sam Darnold should be the guy, and Josh Rosen's got moxie, but then Josh Allen, he plays for Wyoming, and he plays against D1 schools, and he's not that good, and so I don't know. You just really never know with these guys.
Although apparently all 32 teams are out in Wyoming today, so for Wyoming's pro day. So it's not like it's all these organizations aren't doing their due diligence at least.
Yeah, all right. Albert Breer's back on here, but we're talking quarterbacks. And Albert, just kind of finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, I look at the same thing as we go through this every year. It feels like every year it's, you've got the excitement before the college season, and the guys who have been identified get picked apart during the college season. Then you hear in January and February maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. Then you get to March and April. If you watch what teams are doing, not what they're saying, you see that the value is still there. And I think all of these guys certainly have flaws. They certainly have, each one of them's got an issue that you say to yourself, okay, is that going to be the one that undoes his ability to be an NFL quarterback? But that's not unusual, And so I think those four guys, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, all have potential to be franchise quarterbacks. We know the law of averages tells us that, not every one of them is going to pan out, and you'd be lucky to get 2 out of the 4 right. But I think each of them has shown enough potential where, there'll be considerations for teams going, picking 2, 3, 4, 5. And, I think it's certainly something that is, something that shouldn't surprise anybody who's been paying attention the last few years.
Well, that kind of goes into my question. I saw, at least earlier this week, you were on The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and you were talking about why the looming lack of 2019 draft eligible quarterbacks is putting a lot of pressure on teams in the NFL to do work this year. And specifically, I think it's interesting for Saints fans, specifically knowing that with Drew Brees having a 2-year deal going into just really the next year and in 2019, how does that kind of flow of needing to get a quarterback either this year or as quickly as possible in free agency or the draft is going to play into how the Saints go forward and looking for the next quarterback to replace Drew Brees eventually when he's done?
Well, go back last year, and I think there were some teams that were near the top of the draft that looked at it and said, well, Mr. Trubisky's okay, and Patrick Mahomes is the way to go, and does Deshaun Watson project to what we want to do? And they look a year down the line, and at this time last year, everybody knew who Josh Rosen was. Everybody knew who Sam Darnold was. Everybody knew about Josh Allen. And so, teams do, go through that exercise and looking at, what's a year out and where your answers at the position could be a year down the line. And so that's certainly part of the equation for the teams here where, I think you struggle to find a couple who have the potential to go in the first round. Now, that can all change. Mitch Trubisky was somebody who came out of nowhere and wasn't even starting the year before, so we've seen those sorts of things in the past. But as you're projecting it right now, at the end of March of 2018, and maybe like NC State's Ryan Finley would be a possibility to be a first rounder next year. There aren't obvious names. There aren't a lot. There aren't the obvious names that you had last year at this time, and so for a lot of the teams at the top of the draft, you're looking at it and you're saying, if we don't get our answer now, we might have to wait till 2020. And so the effect it's going to have on the board, say you're Buffalo, and Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, they're going into year 2. Well, if you can't trade up and get one this year, then you're looking at it and you're saying, we've got A.J. McCarron for this year and next year under contract, and we may not have a long-term answer out there for us next year. So if A.J. doesn't work out, we could be looking at, waiting until 2020 to get our franchise quarterback, which would be going into year 4 for those guys. So that puts pressure on those guys to try and move up and try and get in a position to get one of the guys this year. And I think that's part of what will push these guys up the board, and I think it's part of why there is a possibility that we see quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. That would be pretty damn remarkable.
Yeah, I don't think it's off the board. I mean, look, there are teams that really like Baker Mayfield. And I know he's sort of been pegged as the one that's, could slip a little bit. But there are teams that like him better than the others. And there are certainly teams out there that like him better than Josh Allen. There are teams that like him better than Josh Rosen. Darnold's kind of, I think, separated himself from the pack to some degree. But there are a lot of teams that like Baker Mayfield. And so, I mean, I think a lot of people assume now it's going to be 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks. If it is, I wouldn't expect that Baker Mayfield will last too much longer after that.
Come on, we can't have Sean Payton and Baker Mayfield in the middle of the field like crotch chopping people. Come on.
Yeah, you guys want to go back to my first mock draft? I had to do it in like November or something like that. You guys know those things click, so they were thirsty for one of those. And my first mock draft, I think it was in November. This was when nobody was really talking about Baker Mayfield as a first-round pick. And I mocked him to the Saints at the bottom of the first round because I just thought the fit between Peyton and Mayfield was like magic. So,
I think people's heads would explode if they were together because I think it
would be fantastic.
They'd be skull clapping everybody.
Drew's reaction would be interesting too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just like when the Saints drafted Mark Ingram and Reggie Bush says, "Nice knowing you, New Orleans." He tweeted something like that, and he knew it was coming. Yeah, exactly. Albert, appreciate the time, my friend. Thanks for jumping on the show.
All right, you guys.
All right, that's Albert Breer, MMQB, one of the best in the business. All right, let's take one final break. And Dave, we have not yet called for the keyword, right?
We have not.
No, we have not. Whoa. Keyword, or actually, key phrase.
Key phrase.
That's a hint. So you could just like make up a phrase if you want to scream at Dave. Someone wins. So we want your key phrase.
I may or may not have forgotten it.
I'm trying to remember if I remember.
I know what it is.
Okay, good. Thank God somebody was paying
attention. I know what it is.
It's a certain procedure that's going to be procedure. Make it sound like surgery.
Colonoscopy.
Yeah.
That's the word.
A lobotomy.
Yes. Prostate check. No, that is not the key phrase. But if you remember it from hour number 1, give us a call, 504-260-1280, and you will win Pelicans Blazers tickets March 27th. Huge game. That will be next week, so give Dave a call. We got one more segment here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
She don't need no bell, but I can turn them inside out. I don't need no help. Got hips like honey, so thick and so sweet. There ain't no curves like hers on them downtown streets. Body like a back road, driving with my eyes closed.
Eric Asher bringing you the truth every day, noon to 2 on Sports 1280. Of course, you can also check me out on the television side, the award-winning Inside New Orleans Sports. Won a Press Club Award back in 2015 for the best TV sports show.
Eric Asher, weekdays, noon to 2, Sports 1280 New Orleans.
You get a strong opinion each and every day.
My mom has a permanently stuck in the 80s thing. We're talking teased up feathered hair, acid wash denim jacket, and shoulder pads. So many shoulder pads. But I just got a new phone from AT&T, and check this out. I got a second phone to gift my mom. So now she can finally ditch her old one for a phone that can actually stream all the 80s shows she loves.
Visit your local AT&T store and get a great deal on 2 popular smartphones when you buy both on AT&T Next with eligible wireless service. See store for details. AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing.
You'll never forget your first car, and you'll never forget your first car wreck. When this happens to you, you need an attorney who can help you get your car fixed, help get you the medical attention you need, and help get you all the money you deserve. Don't deal with the insurance companies without an attorney. They have teams of lawyers and adjusters trying to pay you as little as possible for your injuries. If you're in a wreck and you need a check, call Mike Brander today. We'll work hard to get you all the money you deserve and keep you out of court.
Hurt in the wreck, Mike Brander's the one. Call 345-1111.
This Saturday, March 24th at the Shrine on Airline at 3 p.m., Tyrann Mathieu launches the first annual Tyrann Mathieu & Friends Kickball Classic. The evening will feature a celebrity kickball game with current and former NFL athletes, notable LSU alumni, and numerous New Orleans natives and celebrities from the sports and entertainment industry. Proceeds from this event benefit the Tyrann Mathieu Foundation. That's Saturday, March 24th at the Shrine on Airline from 3 to 5 p.m. For more information or to get tickets, go to TyrannMathieuKickballClassic.com.
Google's digital assistant can now send your friends some cash, able to manage peer-to-peer money transfers using Google Pay on Android and iOS. Users will be able to tell the assistant via voice or text to do things like, "Hey Google, send Tom $20 for lunch today." Free service will reach Google's smart speaker in the coming months. A report says Twitter violates women's human rights. Amnesty International says 23% of women surveyed in 8 countries last year said they'd faced online abuse or harassment at least once. Over half of that percentage said the attacker was a stranger. The findings say overall, the abuse many women experience on the platform leads women to self-censor what they post, limits their interactions, and even drives women off Twitter completely. YouTube is headed from the real small screen to the big screen. A YouTube-made movie called Vulture Club, starring Susan Sarandon, is set for a theatrical release sometime this year, which would make it eligible for Oscar consideration next year. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
War, poverty, and disaster have left millions of children around the world orphaned, abandoned, alone. When their parents can't be there, SOS Children's Villages is there in 134 countries, including the U.S. To make a difference in a child's life, go to sosusa.org.
Dunc and Older now. Eric Asher next at noon on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Got ourselves a winner of Pelicans Blazers tickets, the Chatman. Chatman, congrats on winning the tickets. And guess what? Eric Asher's coming up next. He will be giving away a pair of Pelicans Blazers tickets as well. So I don't know what kind of contest he does. I have no idea. Maybe you got to do like Jaeger bombs with him and you win. I don't know.
I like that idea.
I don't know what he's got up
sound like
his
a good
sleeve.
idea.
You got to do a scavenger hunt and find which restaurant he is in this New Orleans area.
Exactly, because he does hopscotch around. So, but yeah, listen to Eric Asher's show. You'll be able to win another pair of great tickets to a big-time game next week. Pelicans Blazers, March 27th. Congrats again, Chatman. All right, so I will be heading to the owners' meetings in Orlando. I fly out, I'm talking like the crack of dawn. It's dawn doesn't even exist when I leave.
It's still night for
it's
you.
It's unbelievable how early I'm leaving to go there. But this is where potential rules changes pop up. We've been seeing a lot of chatter about changing the pass interference penalties. Doesn't look like that's going to be on the docket. Catch rule will be debated and talked about in literally, it's the shortest explanation. I'm looking at the list of rules proposals. It says, item number 2, by competition committee, changes standard for a catch. That's all it says. Others have like this long explanation. Just, that's it. Catch. I don't know how they're going to do it, and I'm sure there's going to be some fighting about that. And Sean Payton, as some of you may know, is on the competition committee, so he's been studying this and kind of making suggestions. But you know what, Clyde?
Yes.
Thomas Morstead has helped change.
How has he done that?
Well, potentially helped change.
Okay. How is he potentially helping to do that?
There is a rule by the competition committee. Usually, anytime it's by the competition committee when it's suggested, it usually has legs. So there is a rule that will eliminate, rule proposal, that would eliminate the requirement that a team who scores a winning touchdown at the end of regulation to kick the extra point or go for a 2-point conversion. So Thomas Morstead may never have to run out and just be the lone wolf.
Well, I mean, that's
and potentially get crushed by a 300-some-odd-pound offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, now granted, that makes a lot of common sense because, I mean, once a game's over, if you can do it in college, not have to worry about having to go back out on a game-winning play, then, again, the NFL is just lagging behind. But then we'll never have that image of Thomas Morstead, taking the onus on himself to run out of that tunnel and one of the most devastating losses you can remember for Saints history and doing the right thing, man. But, hey, and then if that doesn't happen, then he's not getting money to his charity, and then that money isn't going back to Minnesota Children's Hospital. So it is what it is. But seriously, though, we need to talk about this pass interference rule, though. Seriously, that's got to change.
It's not going to. It's not even on the docket.
It's so bad.
It's not even on the docket.
And I saw the reports that, that they didn't want to bring it to the committee right now because they're still working on it. But it's not that hard. It can't be a spot foul. It's worth too much now. It's worth way too much. 15 yards is one thing. 35, 40 yards is another.
I'm surprised Sean Payton didn't vouch for this rule because we've seen plenty enough cornerbacks get popped on the Saints for pass interference, and wide receivers on the Saints never get called for pass interference. As far as defensive pass interference, they're the least, I wouldn't say penalized, I guess least afforded yardage from that. They're the worst in the league. And I remember Michael Thomas saying at the Pro Bowl, maybe I should just whine and complain a little more. But I'm surprised that Sean Payton didn't stand on the table in front of John Mara, in front of Mike Tomlin, in front of everyone saying, let's change this damn rule because our guys don't get the benefit and we get hurt by it. I'm done with this. But nope, not even on the docket, Clyde. Sorry, you lose.
Man, I just,
sorry for you.
So unfortunate. So unfortunate because, I mean, everybody and their mama knows that that rule specifically is a heinous one.
My mom even knows that. You're right.
Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying.
You're saying that.
Even they know.
My mom even knows. You're right.
Lovely woman.
You have no idea what she even looks like.
Didn't we meet your mom at the
No, my mother-in-law.
Oh, your mother-in-law. Oh, it was mother and father-in-law. Sorry.
Oh, no. So now my mother-in-law, who's probably, she just figured out how to program 1280 into her car, even though all you do is hold it down.
Hold down the button so it saves it.
Right. So now she's going to love this, that you're giving her a shout-out. But I don't know.
Shout out to Larry's mom. I haven't given the shout-outs lately.
My mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law. Shout out to
my mom listens every day and texts me.
Shout out to your mother-in-law. Shout out to everybody. It's been a long week. Fortunately, this week is almost over.
Week. You're right.
Get to the weekend. We're going to enjoy our weekends either at the track, out riding a bike, getting the po' boy, whatever it is, man. It's been a long week. We're going to enjoy our weekends. Get to next week. And obviously, you're going to be in Orlando.
I will be rolling out
which is so nice.
Sunday morning. And, at the owners' meetings. And look, at the owners' meetings, I can tell you this, that Gail Benson is going to speak with the media. So that should be an interesting conversation.
Are you staying at the Ritz too?
I am not staying at the Ritz. I will be at the Ritz, but I will not be staying at the Ritz.
Okay, I'm not as angry now.
Yeah, no. I'm staying at, I don't know, Fairfield or something, probably 30 miles away. But that's all right. Want to thank Albert Breer. Want to thank Catherine Terrell. Want to thank Tom Amos. Great guest list. Great show today. If you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. Clyde will have an update on NOLA.com as well. Everyone have a great weekend. Get outside. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous day. Get outside. Enjoy the day. And Eric Asher is coming up next. Don't forget, he will be giving away a pair of Pelicans Blazers tickets for March 27th. So, all right.
We'll see you next
week. On Monday. Well, actually, I will be chiming in from Orlando. So, see you guys from there. Sports1280.com. Dunc and Oler. See you later.
But it never sank in till that girl got